I want to start with something that might be uncomfortable to hear. The thing keeping you stuck. The thing that has kept you in the same place for longer than you want to admit is not laziness. It is not a lack of discipline. It is not fear, exactly, though fear is part of it. It is not the circumstances, not the timing, not the people around you, or the resources you don't have, or the breaks that haven't come. The thing keeping you stuck is the same thing that makes you exceptional in almost every other area of your life. It is your intelligence. I know that is not what you expected. Smart people rarely do. Because one of the most reliable features of a highly intelligent mind is the absolute certainty that its problems are unique, that the obstacles it faces are more complex than other people's obstacles, that the reasons it has not moved are more legitimate than the reasons other people give for not moving. And here is the thing, it is often right. The obstacles are more complex, the reasons are more legitimate, the analysis is more thorough, and it does not matter at all. Because thoroughness, in the absence of action, is just a more sophisticated way of standing still. Let me describe what this looks like from the inside. You have an idea, a direction, a change you want to make, something that has been present in the background of your thinking for months, for years, possibly for decades, and you have not done it. Not because you forgot, not because you don't care, because every time you move toward it, the mind activates. And the mind, being what it is, begins to think. What are the risks? What could go wrong? What am I missing? What do I need to know first? What is the optimal approach? What would happen if I tried and failed? What would that failure mean about me, about the idea, about whether I was right to want it in the first place? And the thinking is good thinking, rigorous, honest, thorough. And it produces more questions, which produce more thinking, which produces more questions, which produces nothing. No movement, no attempt, no information that could only come from actually trying, just more thinking. And the growing, quiet, almost imperceptible sense that this is not the right moment yet, that you need a little more preparation, a little more clarity, a little more certainty before you can responsibly proceed. This is what psychologists call analysis paralysis. But I want to give it a more precise name. I want to call it what it actually is: sophisticated avoidance. Not the simple avoidance of someone who does not engage with their life, not the obvious avoidance that announces itself as procrastination. The avoidance that looks, from the outside and from the inside, like diligence, like responsibility, like being thorough, like not rushing into something before you were properly prepared. And it is extraordinarily difficult to see because it wears the clothing of your best qualities. I want to talk about certainty, because certainty, the need for it, the pursuit of it, the inability to move without it, is at the center of almost every smart person who has ever been stuck. The mind, in its intelligence, understands risk. It understands that action produces consequences, that some consequences are irreversible, that mistakes, once made, cannot always be unmade. And so it seeks, before acting, to know, to have enough information that the outcome is predictable, that the risk is calculated, that the attempt is not reckless, but informed. This is good thinking. In many situations, this is exactly right. But life, specifically, the kind of life that requires you to become something you have not yet been, does not offer certainty before movement. It offers certainty only after. The clarity you are waiting for
does not exist on this side of the attempt. It exists on the other side. And it is available only to the people who moved without having it. Let me be even more precise. The version of you that would know whether the idea is good, whether the risk is worth it, whether the path leads somewhere, does not exist yet. It will only exist after you have taken enough action to generate real information. Not imagined information, not researched information, not the information that comes from modeling the scenario in your head for the 10,000th time. Real information, the kind that only comes from contact with reality. And reality, the actual, unpredictable, uncontrollable, occasionally generous reality, is the one thing your thinking cannot simulate, no matter how good the thinking is. I want to talk about perfectionism, because perfectionism is not, as it is often described, simply high standards. High standards are useful. They produce quality. They push a person past the adequate toward the excellent.
Perfectionism is something different. Perfectionism is the refusal to produce anything that might fall short of the standard, which means, in practice, the refusal to produce anything at all. Because first attempts always fall short. First drafts are always rough. First businesses, first relationships, first creative works, first conversations are all, without exception, imperfect versions of what they will eventually become. The person who cannot tolerate the imperfection of a beginning will never experience the excellence of what comes after it. And for smart people, people who can see clearly and in advance how far the first attempt will fall short of the vision, this is particularly acute, because they can see the gap between what they can imagine and what they are currently capable of producing. And rather than close the gap by producing imperfect things until the imperfect things become better, they stay on this side of the gap, imagining what is on the other side, getting better and better at imagining it, and calling it preparation. There is something else, something that smart people rarely admit, even to themselves, because admitting it would require acknowledging something that intelligence is not supposed to coexist with. Fear. Not the obvious fear of failure. That fear is at least visible, at least nameable. The hidden fear, the one underneath, the fear of finding out. Because as long as you don't try, as long as you remain in the space of intention and potential, and almost, the dream is intact. You are still, in the unacted space, the person who could do the thing, who has the capacity, who simply hasn't yet. The moment you try, that protection disappears. You will find out. Either you can or you cannot. Either it works or it doesn't. Either you are what you believed yourself to be, or you are something more limited, more ordinary, more human than the version of yourself you have been protecting. And that the discovery of your actual edges is what the thinking is, in part, designed to prevent. I want to say something about this fear that I think is important. The discovery of your actual edges is not a defeat. It is the beginning of real work. The person who does not know their edges cannot work on them, cannot extend them, cannot build over time a capability that actually exists, rather than a potential that only exists in the imagination. Real capability, the kind that compounds, the kind that produces things that other people can actually encounter, is built at the edge, not in the safe center, not in the comfortable space where everything is already known. At the edge, where the current limit is, where the attempt might fail, where the gap between vision and execution is visible and uncomfortable and real. That is where growth happens. Not in the preparation, in the contact. I want to give you something practical. Not because practical is always sufficient, it rarely is alone, but because the mind that is very good at thinking sometimes needs a different kind of instruction. Not more information, a different question. The question most smart, stuck people ask themselves is, what is the right move here? And the mind, being what it is, produces an analysis, which produces another question, which produces more analysis, which produces the loop. The question I want to offer instead is, what is the smallest possible action I could take today that would give me real information I do not currently have? Not the perfect action, not the optimal action, not the action that solves the problem or moves you from here to there in a single step. The smallest action that generates contact with reality. A conversation with one person. A version that takes one day rather than 1 year. A test so small that failure is information rather than catastrophe. That is the entry point. Not through the analysis, through the smallest possible contact with the thing itself. Let me talk about what changes when a smart person starts moving. The first thing that changes is not the outcome. The first thing that changes is the quality of the thinking. Because the thinking, the same intelligence that was spinning in circles, now has something real to work with. Real problems, real obstacles, real information from real contact with the actual situation. And intelligence, when applied to real problems, is extraordinary. It is when intelligence is applied to imagined problems, to the simulation of a situation rather than the situation itself, that it tends toward loops and circles and the sophisticated stasis we have been describing. The intelligence was never the problem. The direction of the intelligence was the problem. Turn it toward reality, toward something actual and present rather than imagined and future, and watch what it does. I want to end with something about the nature of stuck. Being stuck is not a permanent state. It is not a character trait. It is not evidence of something fundamentally limited about you. It is a pattern, a very understandable, very human, very common pattern that happens to be particularly seductive for intelligent people because their intelligence makes the pattern more convincing. The loop is more elaborate, the analysis is more thorough, the reasons are more legitimate, and the exit is the same as it is for everyone. One small, imperfect, uncertain, insufficiently prepared, not yet ready, before you feel like you know enough, step. Not a leap, not a commitment, not a decision that closes every other door. A step that generates real information, that shows you something the thinking could never show you, that moves the question from the imagination, where it has been living safely, untested, intact, into contact with the world, where it will either survive or it won't. And either answer is more useful than 1,000 more questions asked in the space where nothing yet is real. You are not stuck because you are limited. You are stuck because you are very good at something that does not move you forward. And the thing that moves you forward is available. It has always been available. It requires only the willingness to be temporarily less certain than your intelligence would prefer, and to discover that what is on the other side of that uncertainty was worth it. It always is.